I don't know what happened. They used to just default when I pop in, it would be recording.
Now it says recording.
Cool. I'm trying to pull up the unit for this week.
Why is everybody so quiet?
Waiting for you to start us off, Sean. Come on.
All right. Well, how do you guys want to do this? Are we supposed to go through our assessments and talk about them, or
So
our own personal, or each other, or what?
It says,
So it says we're supposed to talk about one thing we think each of us did well and one thing each of us can improve on.
So that's right in line with our assessment of everybody else. That's why everybody's quiet. Everybody's like, "Uh-oh."
Let's get started.
Everybody.
Serious time.
well, do we want to just go around and
How are we going to do this?
share our thoughts about each person, or just ourselves, or what?
I think that might make the most. I mean, we could go around each individually and say what we thought our strengths and weaknesses were, and then I thought it would make the most sense if, like, we did Amy first and everyone said, okay, Amy, okay, fine, not Amy. We could do Tom first and talk about Tom's strengths, and each of us could go around rather than like Brian going around and talking about each of us individually. And then I thought it might make more sense.
That works for me.
Focus on the people.
What I was thinking.
Going alphabetical order by last name.
Oh, it's Amy no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, Amy, do you want to start off with what you thought your strengths and weaknesses were?
Yes, hold on, sorry. Well, it said something about the psychological contract thing, so I kind of like put those two together. And I thought my strength was being able to do like 110% instead of like just like the normal 100% when it comes to like assignments. And as for my weakness, I put that I don't really verbally communicate, and that's just because I'm really shy, and it just, yeah, I feel like that's something I need to improve on for sure in general, like not even in just this group, but like everywhere.
So I guess I'm next then. I, first of all, would like to say this was a great group, and I scored you all as highly as possible. But I think my strength was, what did I do? My listening skills. I kind of tied it back to the psychological contract as well, since I mentioned that, and that was my strength in the psychological contract. So I talked about how it's a little harder to use the listening skills that I rely on in a virtual meeting, since body language and stuff like that kind of gets lost when you're looking at video, but I do my best to try to make sure I listen to what people are saying and do active listening instead of just thinking of what I'm going to say next, listening to what they're saying, and then trying to add feedback to what they've said or ask them questions to lead them on. So I think that was my strength in the group during discussions, at least. And then areas to improve, I went away from the psychological contract on that one because my area to improve was conflict management, which we didn't really have a lot of conflict, so I didn't practice that. So I said the hardest part about this group project, or group projects in general for me, is prioritizing the group over my needs. So I think I did my best. Made sure I showed up to all the meetings that I could, except for the one I had to miss for technical reasons. But I definitely need to keep working on the realization that the group has to come before me, because it's 4 or 5, however many other people that are relying on me being there and doing my part, versus me just being able to slack off and not do an assignment. It only affects me, but if I'm in a group, it affects everybody. So I'm going to keep working on that, but I tried my best this time. Who's up next?
I think that's me. So I said I thought my strength was kind of organization and delegation. That by like setting up the meetings and kind of being the one to prompt people to do things, that's something I'm good at, aka I'm really bossy. But I think that the area for improvement kind of goes along that. Sometimes I can steamroll things, and I think I can improve on like asking more questions and being a better listener instead of always responding first. And that in a team setting, it's not just about like one voice, that it's about like collaboration. It's kind of the word of the semester, I think, and making sure that everybody has the opportunity to be engaged and involved. So that's kind of what I want to improve upon in the future.
Sean or Tom? Who wants to go next?
Am I up?
I think Tom's up if we're going
Tom's
alphabetically.
an S. You're an S. You got that saint in front there.
Right.
Yeah.
Never forget that saint part.
Saint Tom, you're up.
Okay. I said the most valuable contribution I made as a team member was I was the interviewee. I think that the strength was my memory and putting that together in lists and everything, sending it out and helping everybody kind of look at that part of it. So the communication in that. The goal I had as far as areas I wanted to improve, I wanted to become a better team player. And I'm used to kind of saying this is the way it's going to be. So what I tried very hard to do is listen to everybody and not try to micromanage anybody. And that's what I put for the, let's see. Yeah, I was really able to have confidence in the fact that every team member just did exactly what they were supposed to do. I scored everybody exactly high, and could find very, very little to improve with this team. I thought it was just a great job.
All right, Sean.
Well, I'll go ahead and start with a weakness that I was exposed right now. I completely missed the most valuable contribution I made to a team member part of the assessment. So my ability to catch the details sometimes gets missed because I'm in such a hurry to get things done. So anyway, with that said, what I wrote, strengths, typically willing to admit when I'm wrong and learn the correct way to do something. I've eaten my words enough that I've learned to accept criticism to benefit myself and the team. Ways that hang on a second. Improvement, an area that I want to improve is my ability to see that there are many ways to accomplish something. I'm kind of bullheaded, so anything that I feel like I have the right way to do things in my mind figured out, and that's not the case because I'm looking at 5 people right here who all have a different way of doing something, and none of them are wrong. So when I need to realize that because I'm so I have it figured out, kind of my attitude is like that sometimes. So it's been good to work with all you guys and see a lot of different perspectives, and see how it all comes together really well.
Okay. So do we want to just keep it alphabetical and we can talk about Amy first? Okay, so Amy, I actually have to agree with both of your points. Let me find my form here. Sean. Yeah, so I put your biggest contribution, I felt, was your questions from the interview that helped us try to expand our area of questioning from just being purely about military stuff to being more about the business stuff. I think that was kind of a great insight that the rest of the group missed, that I think, like we talked about, could have added more stuff about that to make the interview a little more broad. And you're definitely very thorough. I think I put something in here about how thorough you were with citations and information and all the stuff that you added to Google Docs. So I think that was very good. And the only thing I put down negatively was that you could speak up a little more in meetings. But other than that, I mean, you contributed good ideas, but often we had to prompt you to try to get you to get them out. So don't be so shy. You've got good ideas. You've got good things to say. So just step in there and say them when you get the chance.
Thank you. Who's next?
I think I would echo kind of a lot of the same things that I said. The only area for improvement was kind of, again, speaking up, that sometimes it seemed like you almost like had a pained look on your face sometimes when we'd ask you questions, but then you would have these comments that were like so spot on. I'm like, why do we have to pull that out of you? Like, that's exactly what we needed to hear. So I think just having like that confidence to just speak up. But I thought that you often had like an interesting take on things, and it made me kind of look at some of the topics we were talking about in a new light. And I really appreciated that, because like I said, sometimes I get that tunnel vision and I'm like, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm thinking. You say something like, oh my God, there's all this over here. Why didn't I consider that? So I really appreciated that. And I thought that was a strength you had.
Thank you.
Yeah, Amy, I would just echo that. I wrote that you wanted the interview to be on the evacuation mission and business experience, and I thought that was really a very good take on what we could. I thought it was a valuable comment and something that I've got to be aware of in the future to look at things in a different vision sometimes. And I said the same thing about drawing you out. Perhaps our team, we could have assigned something different, or maybe we could have been proactive and having you verbally assess your issues. Because whenever you spoke, I just, wow, that's really cool. The comments were excellent.
Thank you.
All right, I don't want to kick a dead horse too many times here, but same thing. I mean, your strength is your weakness. You're not a communicator like in the Zoom meetings, but how often were Amy's comments spot on, or with text message or email, always all over it? So I mean, it was like if we could bridge that gap to the face-to-face stuff and get a little more out of you verbally. That's the only thing I saw, but other than that, you contributed greatly. So, good job.
So I guess I'm next. Amy, do you want to start?
Yes. Let's see here. Oh, okay. I said that your most valuable contribution to the team was being able to record and outline the group documents in Google Docs shared files and sending it out prior to our Zoom meetings, which was very, very helpful. And I like how you took the initiative to like actually do it instead of like having someone ask someone to get it done. And pretty much the thing to improve on, I pretty much said what you said. It's not that you do it often, but just arriving to meetings on time and yada yada. Like, I mean, I don't really have much to say about your. There's no negative. Sorry, I'm not even talk right now, but yeah, I don't really have any negative things to say. But yeah.
All right, I'll go next. I think I agree with Amy that I thought that you taking the initiative and just like when we talked about role assignments, it was like, well, Brian's already doing this, so we're just going to keep you in that role. That it wasn't something that had to be like delegated out. You just saw a need that needed to be filled and knew that you had the like abilities to fill it. And so I thought that that's something that's like really valuable in a team, especially early on when the rest of the team doesn't necessarily know people's skills and strengths. And so you've been able to like say, this is something I can do and needs to be done. I thought that that was like really, really helpful. And I like, again, I had the same thing. The only thing I could really think of was just the kind of the meeting attendance. And even that was something, like you said, it was, you were able to communicate with us what was going on. So it wasn't like a repeated thing where like, where the heck is he? So I didn't even see it really as a weakness.
Yeah, Brian, I thought, I wrote that you were the cleanup man. I said you worked as a team member, the submissions to Google Doc, put them into bullet points, made sure the document was a collaboration of all the team members, that you were a terrific team member, always on task, prepared, efficient on the main task of cleanup and the recording of every document. All fantastic. The only negative, and I don't know if it's a negative or not, I just said you were really serious, man. You were always on task. I was never sure whether you were enjoying the assignments. Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Laugh more, man. So that was it.
Actually, that's funny because I'm like the least serious person in real life, but when I'm doing this group stuff, like kind of like I talked about, my priority is going upstairs and relaxing with my dog and my fiance. So I'm like, let's go, get this assignment done so I can go upstairs and watch some TV and hang out with my dog. Not that I don't enjoy your guys' company.
My turn?
I think it's your turn, Sean.
All right, so it's kind of the benefit of going last, to echo what everybody else said. I remember you saying, oh, you guys need me to get in here and clean this up. I was like, yes, because I don't want to do that. So you got in there and typed it all up. I could hear your computer going, working away, getting that thing dialed in, looking nice. All of our assignments look professional, super clean, because of you. So that was definitely your strength and your contribution to our team. The only thing that I literally wrote, he didn't laugh at any of my jokes. So, yeah. One of my weaknesses, I'm not very funny. And then,
I actually have a funny story related to that. When I worked at Borders Books for like 4.5 years before it closed down, and this one like super sweet, like went to church every weekend, like 19-year-old girl started working there, and I was one of the managers, and like I'm a pretty goofy guy actually, and I like love to laugh and make jokes. But kind of the thing I do is I'll act real serious and try and kind of like deflate people's jokes because I think it's funny to do that.
Oh, congratulations.
I did that to this girl. I think I did that to this girl a little too much because after like 4 or 5 months when she finally like got to know me and knew that I was just a nice person that's kind of like act serious. She was like, I thought you hated me for the first like 3 months that I worked here because you never laughed at any of my jokes that I said. And I was like, oh no, they were funny. That's just funny.
Yeah, so along with that, I mean, like you said, it's hard to get a feel for anybody's personality in this realm. I mean, that's the problem with society these days. Everything's computerized. There's no more real social interaction anymore. So how the heck do we even know anything about each other, really? The only not even bad thing, the only thing I can think of for you as far as something to improve on was that one time you were like 2 minutes late to our meeting. So not a big deal. You were a total asset, dude. Thanks for everything.
Before we move on to Sarah, I had a thought while we were doing this. Not about you in particular, but just since do we want to switch up who goes first? Because it seems like a lot of it becomes whoever goes first, everybody else just kind of is like, well, yeah, that's pretty similar to what I had. That's what's similar to what I had. So I don't know if we want to switch up who goes first, just so that the people at the end, Sean and Tom, aren't just repeating stuff that people have said already.
They're not slackers.
Yeah. For example, me and Amy have both gone first already, so do you want to have Sean go first for Sarah?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
go
in the
first.
opposite way.
Start at the end. Have Tom go
All right. Well, am I going first? What would we decide on?
Yeah.
All right.
We're going to go opposite alphabet.
Yeah.
Sean first, me second.
No, let's,
Me last.
yeah.
All right. So let me get down to where.
So Tom, do you have anything to say about Sarah?
Yes. I said on Sarah, okay, her ability to schedule, communicate that schedule, record, deliver the Zoom meetings, keep the team on task and on time, I thought was just fantastic. I said our entire team was very good. Sarah, for her ability to think and comment in an encouraging manner for other team members on each project that we did. She did well, even when you were very ill. I think you did fantastic. And as far as how you could improve, I can't think of one thing that I could tell you to improve being on this team. I thought it was just great asset.
Thank you.
All right, my turn. I wrote, Sarah was a very good organizer. She took initiative and helped plan all of our meetings, ensuring that the time and date of our meetings were what worked best for all members. This is not an easy task. It's not an easy thing to do when multiple people are involved, especially people in 3 different time zones across the country. So you're definitely have a knack for organization. And you took initiative. That all happened. It was obvious to everybody. Performance to be improved. Sarah was late multiple times to multiple meetings. I'm joking. I had nothing. I had nothing to write. I couldn't think of anything, honestly. So I literally wrote, Sarah was also an excellent teammate, because I wrote that about all of you. Nothing really stands out as needing improvement with her performance. I literally racked my brain. At the end of this thing, I wrote, I had a very difficult time identifying areas that team members needed to improve. I was impressed with our team throughout this entire class. Everyone was engaged and dedicated to the team. Unlike other teams I've been a part of in a school setting, no one floated by. All had input, and all were vital to our success in the class. Overall, it was a very good experience for me, and I enjoyed getting to know the members and learning about creating an effective team. So it was really hard to come up with things for people to improve on. It all seems so just minor. Well, things were minor, like little nitpicky things. It's like not a big deal, you know. So next.
Yeah, I have to say, I think your weakness that you said is actually your greatest strength, is kind of what I was talking about, is you were always jumping in and being a leader in the discussions and taking the reins and making sure that we were on track and doing what we were supposed to be doing, and setting up the Zoom meetings and creating a Zoom account so that we can have longer meetings without having to schedule multiple ones. So I know the way you described it, I definitely can see how it can be a weakness at times, but I think within the confines of our group, it was actually something that we needed to make sure that we were kind of on direction and not just sitting here quietly staring at each other's pictures the entire time. So I kind of agree with Sean that I didn't have any major complaints. I mean, he worked through being sick and having to schedule stuff at 9 or 10 o'clock at night your time and all this stuff. So I appreciate your work and everybody else's work as well.
Thank you.
Do I really have to say anything? Everyone pretty much said it all. I mean, like, what I wrote was pretty much what is it? You're right here. Scheduling and recording the team Zoom meetings and being the moderator for the meetings, or more like you're moderator most times. But yeah, like you pretty much took initiative to record it, to upload on YouTube. Yeah, you were really, this was a really good team. Yeah, I don't have much to say.
Thanks.
I didn't really put a negative. I actually put blank for everyone else. I didn't really say anything, which I think I might get docked off points for, but oh well.
That was definitely the most difficult thing to do, especially with this team, because it's like, what I mean, I don't know. I had a hard time with it.
We were the A team. Or we are the A team.
I want to see some of the other like team stuff, because I can't imagine that every team worked this well. But I also think it's crazy that we got this team. That, like you guys point out, there was no one that was just like constantly absent. There was no one that didn't do their work. There was none of that stuff. And so I like, how did we luck out that we got like the 5 people that, you know, were solid team members? But I ain't complaining.
Yeah. All right.
Hopefully the 5 A's get 5 A's.
Who wants to? Sean, you're the only one that hasn't gone first, I think. Do you want to start for Tom?
Oh yeah, I'll go for Tom. Tom. I wrote, Tom, in my opinion, was the most valuable member of our team. He was always the most prepared and the one who would have all the answers when it came to anything class-related. Additionally, Tom served as our interviewee. He has an extensive knowledge of leadership through his first-hand experiences as a medevac helicopter pilot in Vietnam, as well as the owner and operator of his own successful business. He was an essential member to our group. So your strengths, Tom, come from both your personality and your life experience. So we appreciate what you shared with us, as well as just the effort you put in. It was obvious. You put in a lot of effort, and it was nice. It made our team experience easier, for lack of a better word. We appreciate you having you on our team.
It was fun. I loved it.
The next part, performance could have been improved. I said I had no real specifics on how Tom could have improved his performance on this team. And literally I was looking for stuff. So I wrote that you had technical difficulties with your audio early on. that was the only thing I could think of. Yeah. And I said even that we were able to overcome, so it was good.
Thank you.
I think I wrote that you were, I mean, we talked about it when we were early on in our team charter about our different roles and responsibilities, and that you were our hype man. You were just so positive about everything. Like, there were times where all I was doing was complaining about how vague like the assignment descriptions were, that things weren't getting graded, and you were just so like no, we got this. And you were the one, I mean, I think you're the one that named us the 5 A's. Like Sean mentioned, having experience with this professor as well, I think you helped ease some of our concerns just in talking about like grading and how to communicate with her, and taking the reins and, you know, and having her come to our meeting, calling her on the phone to get clarification for a lot of things. That's something that never would even have occurred to me until you did. Like, even though professors are always like, reach out with any questions, I never really do. And I think that you made that easy so that later on in the semester when there were issues, I felt more comfortable reaching out, because you'd kind of like set that example. So I think you just were a really positive role model. And I think on top of that, you weren't, sometimes when you have someone that has the wealth of experience you do, they become very, like, they take on that leader role when it's not necessary. And I don't think that you were ever like pushy or bossy about, well, I know what's best because I've done X, Y, or Z. That it was, you were a member of the team, and that you were eager to hear all of our, like, have all of us contribute. And I thought that was an incredible strength, because that's not something I often encounter with like people that have the experience that you've had. So, and I could not think of I think my comments on improvement was I wanted more stories. Like I love hearing the stories you have about like your life and your experiences. So that was my negative.
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't notice when you were talking about your own weakness, I didn't notice that really at all, how you were talking about, being used to being the boss and your way goes and all that. So I think you were fair and you took people's thoughts into account. And when you were talking about that, I was like, I don't think that ever came up in our group. So maybe that's just you looking at yourself. But I definitely think, like Sarah said, the greatest asset was your positivity. That's what I put on my sheet, was you're the guy that kept us motivated and kept us going. And then weakness, I kind of actually I referenced the technical difficulties at the beginning of the group as well. But other than that, you're a great interviewee, you have tons of experience and wisdom, and always being positive and getting your work done even when you're traveling or busy or doing what you got to do. So A+ for you.
Thank you.
So yeah, pretty much what everyone else said. Well, what I wrote was he was very helpful in guiding us in the right direction when it came to understanding the assignments. What I didn't write, which I kind of regret not writing, but pretty much in the near beginning, you kind of like took initiative with trying to get the group together, like emailing everyone, and I liked how that you did that in the beginning. So yeah, there's no negative.
Thank you, Amy.
So we got Sean. So for Sean, I said one of your strengths was your like sense of humor. You just you brought an ease to the group, and I think that it helped like foster like a connection where it wasn't just these, I almost said faceless, but obviously we're not faceless, but it wasn't this like sterile forced team environment. Like I felt like you really made this like more like, I don't know, easygoing, I guess. And I also said that where is it? On Tom still. I thought that I really appreciated your directness too. It didn't seem like you really minced words when we were talking about things, and you were very clear, you were very concise, and it felt like very effective, like your communication style, where it wasn't abrasive at all. I don't know. I really liked the way when you would comment on things, it just was like clicked. So that was I thought your strength, and I had a hard time coming up with any weakness. I also said like you were very committed to, as a team member, the fact that you would be dialed in while you were on call at work, like leaving, coming back, when you were camping with your family and you were in the car with all the blankets. I mean, just now when your daughter came by, like I think that it's very clear that you were like focused on your, like when you were here for this team's purpose, like you are here for us and you're not distracted. And I really appreciated that. So.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Are we still going backwards or are we going to Tom?
However.
I'm gonna go. First of all, I didn't even realize we skipped Sean. So, but yeah, I really appreciated, since your main role was the turning in of assignments, I really appreciated how you would email out and make sure everybody was good with the assignments before you turned them in, instead of just going, oh, it's convenient for me to turn this in now, let me just turn it in, and maybe somebody left something out and would end up not getting credit or something. So it was good communication and looking out for the rest of the team. And as far as weaknesses go, the only thing I really had was that your jokes aren't very funny. So
Where's my life?
But no, I agree. There wasn't any one thing that stood out to me as a weakness. So I think, again, thank you for your hard work, and I think we were a good group. Who's next?
Sean, I thought you were just a great team member. I kept waiting for the alarm to go off, and you exited quickly, but the alarm never went off. So I wrote, you received each and every group assignment. You reviewed them. You made sure each group member had contributed. I should have put collaborated. And submitted it on time and in the proper format. I put, you were a pleasure to work with and a great team member. As far as improvement goes, just put, I'm not sure how his performance could be improved. He was an excellent team member, contributed at every opportunity, submitted everything on time, and made the whole team laugh. So
Except for
thank you.
Brian.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I laughed at stuff. I don't know what you're talking about.
I pretty much put what Brian put. Yeah, he made sure documents was finalized before submitting it for a final grade. And yeah, I liked how you made sure everyone contributed before you actually just turned it in. And I didn't really put anything negative either. So yeah.
All
Wait,
right.
but I have a question in general. I didn't put, so it was kind of, the direction she gave us was clear, but in a way it wasn't. When she said, do not simply put a check mark or an X in the box, I did put X's, but I did describe why the person got the grade they did, but I never put an actual grade, 10 out of 10 or whatever. Was that what I was supposed to be doing, or?
I don't think it needed to be a number. Like what I did in my boxes was I wrote the example. And so I
Okay.
said in Tom's about teamwork as a high priority, I mentioned how sometimes he'd be logged in while he was at work at the fire station, and he wasn't just oh guys, I got better things to do, I'll catch up with you later. And so I wrote that in the actual box. So I think as long as you somehow communicated and then just give a grade with no explanation, I think that that's probably sufficient. Because I think she just didn't want people to be oh, they were great, 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 and then didn't say why they were great.
Okay.
Well, there goes my grade.
So pull back up. Ugh. So many windows open, I can't find the one I want.
Yeah, maybe you should stick to helping each other throughout the night.
Yeah.
I have a team question.
Yeah.
When you submitted this in writing, did you attach the file, or did you copy and paste?
I attached the file since it was in, they had the boxes and everything. If you
That's
tried
what I did too.
Yeah.
But
She says she wants to
I did
I
did a copy and paste, and it didn't come out. The boxes don't come out.
Yeah.
So then I sent her a note to that effect, because I know she always wants it copy and paste, but this one wouldn't work copy and paste.
I think it uploads though. When you do a document, it'll upload. Actually, show her the whole document. It won't.
I think
It's
the
not like she has to
issue,
open the file.
the issue when we attached our files in the discussion board was she had to download each one to look at them. Whereas when we put in an assignment, it actually puts up a preview of the assignment, so she doesn't have to download it. She can just look through the preview to see what we did. I think it should be okay if we just attach it.
Okay.
My question is,
So what are we supposed to do with it? Go ahead.
do we just do a discussion board post to recap this meeting like we have for all the other meetings?
Can you do a summary?
Do we actually
Yeah.
do it as a team?
Well, she had said that we could expand on our, if there was something that you thought of after, I'm reading through it right now.
Holy shit.
Yeah, but that was just for our.
Yeah, but so I think that, I don't know, maybe we have to do a synopsis. I'll still upload all of this to YouTube and we can share the link. Verbal feedback for you. I need to have at least one major strength.
what do you get from it?
Maybe it's just a synopsis. Blah, blah, blah. Summary.
Close your eyes.
Yeah.
What do you see? I don't know.
Because there's no,
Oh, sorry, you go on.
I don't see a grade for it anywhere.
Yeah, it might just be the written. Well, no, because it says in the assignment,
If you do not,
I'm going to be very strict on applying the due date for the written assessments. If you do not turn it in completed before you participate in the discussion, then your contribution to the discussions will not. Then there's nothing else. I'm guessing that they'll probably, maybe it's just like a blanket, you contributed so you get points.
I think she's probably just going to look at times, like what time did you submit and what time did our meeting occur,
Mm-hmm.
and then voila.
I like in the written assessment, she has in caps, that the instructions of the assessment are clear and should be followed.
Super clear.
Nothing has been clear.
Actually, if you read the orange part of the assignment 6-2 team discussion, it just trails off at the end. Doesn't
Yeah.
You can imagine how tough it is for somebody with ADD to take this class.
I had a professor that had like really long instructions, but she would have little things like if you see this, respond and you get an extra credit point to make sure that people like read all of the things. And so there was that incentive where you're like, okay, I'm going to read this. I want the extra credit. With this one, I'm like, sometimes the harder I read it, the more confused I become.
There was a band that used to do that. I don't remember the name of the band, but they would write in their contracts for whatever venue they were playing at, they would write, and we would like a bowl of peanut M&Ms in our.
It was Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi, yeah. We want a bowl of peanut M&Ms in our, dressing room. And that way, if they didn't have a bowl of peanut M&Ms, they knew whoever was setting up the venue didn't prepare.
Actually.
Yeah, they didn't read the free direction. So everybody thought they were dicks, but in reality, they were just making sure that all their, bases were covered.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well.
I'm not sure what we're supposed to do.
I think is there a discussion board for this unit?
Yes.
That's what I'm looking for now.
I mean, there's a discussion board open for Unit 6, so I would say we go in and post our recap of what we personally did in this meeting, just like normal, and that's the only assignment I see is the one to turn in the individual assignments. So.
And then where do we need to upload the copy of the video?
Yeah, I'll upload it tonight or maybe tomorrow. I think
Where is that in discussion?
Yeah, I don't think that since there wasn't an actual group assignment, I think that it can just be in the discussion assessment.
That makes sense. Let's just do you upload that into the discussion, and then we'll all individually upload our summaries into the discussion. That ought to be sufficient, I think.
Yeah, I think that for groups that maybe had more. Oh, sorry, you go on, Tom?
Are we supposed to reply to each of us?
I think that was only for the written. If you weren't doing Zoom.
Yeah, that was only if we were doing the Zoom meetings to ensure that there was like collaboration and cross-team communication.
So I think, sorry, Amy. I think that our summary will suffice rather than doing that.
Yeah, and I can shoot her an email. I have a question about something else. I can shoot her an email and ask for clarification if that's all that we need to do. I think that for teams that maybe had more room for improvement, it could have been this could have been a lengthier discussion, or if there was more like less overlap, like we had said, we all pretty much were in agreement about everybody about strengths and weaknesses or lack of weaknesses. So I think that that's probably why this went so quickly, because there wasn't really the need to discuss a lot of things. But anyone have anything else that they'd want to contribute, or something that they learned about from being on a team, or that they would take for moving forward the next time they're on a team?
I like the team charter. I think a variation of that could be useful for group projects in the future, because I know I've done groups before where it was like nobody communicated or did anything until the last minute of the assignment being due, and then everybody scrambled and said, oh, like, what do I have to do? Here's my PowerPoint slides. Somebody put them together, that kind of thing. So I think having a set plan and rules from the beginning really helped keep us on track and make sure everybody was doing what they were supposed to be doing and was, responsible.
I agree. It creates accountability. So it's like whoever didn't pull their weight, it's like exactly where to go because they didn't do what they were supposed to do, and it's all outlined in that format.
I think I've only had like Zoom type of meetings with people that I've met and interacted with before, where it's just like we're all in Boston, but like in different like specific Starbucks stores, and we'll do these like district Zoom meetings often. So this is the first time doing it like fully with strangers, and I was really nervous going into this because I was just like, what if I get a bunch of slackers? I don't want to be the one doing all the work. What if nobody does anything? And so I think that this really is having me be more like positive and optimistic going forward, having this process be like relatively painless and like really productive. And I think like I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed working with you guys and getting to know each other. And I really enjoyed the interview portion. I think that, I don't know, I'll be more open-minded about being part of a team. And next time I get a class that has a huge group component, I probably won't roll my eyes quite so much.
I still will.
Restoring faith in humanity.
As good of an experience as this was, I still am a pessimist when it comes to group projects.
So
I was too, because like my whole reasoning for taking online classes is for flexibility. I think I've expressed this before, but it introduces like you have to be at a certain place at a certain time, and that's like really hard for me to do. So I like the freedom, to go and whenever I please. But with this, I was required to be somewhere at a certain time, and it actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So
I agree. Especially when I found out you guys were pretty much all on the West Coast. It was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to stay up so late. I need my beauty sleep, you guys. This sucks. But it wasn't that bad. And I got to I look forward to our meetings each week.
That's why I came to Washington, D.C., just to support you.
So you can support me at this late hour, yeah.
Not to go off topic, Tom, but how was your thing at Arlington?
That's tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Invitation is 4 o'clock. So I'll see
I'll
if I can get some pictures. Well, if I can, I'll download some pictures.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, please do. I'll be eager to hear about it. It's a cool experience.
Do we have to schedule another Zoom for next week?
She hasn't posted what's going on next week,
Okay.
so I don't really know. If we want to do a tentative one, I don't know if people want to do that, or I can send an email out, like, let's be realistic, like Sunday when she actually posts the, or I think she said in an announcement that she was going to try and open up Unit 7 sometime in the next few days.
Early.
So let me go to the syllabus and see.
Are we allowed to resubmit this document, or because it does say something about
if you added to it? I think it said you can do like add it in notes. That's what I was planning on doing.
She said, yeah, you can submit things as many times as you want. I think she said just put a note and say, if you resubmit it, say I resubmitted it, so look at number 2.
Oh, okay.
Because I've done that on assignments where I messed up the submission and had to resubmit it, and I just put a note and said I put it in a second time, so they'll know which one it is.
So it looks like all that's due next week is the written assignment, the final paper, team building and organizations, and then an extra credit discussion assignment.
Maybe that'll be our Zoom meeting, will be a discussion assignment.
So yeah, I don't know if that's a team discussion or it just says Unit 7 extra credit discussion, reflection on course and learning.
She did post a revised course schedule.
Yeah, this is the revised one.
Oh. Well, I don't know.
You just want to schedule one for next week, and then if it doesn't work, or if it's not required, we can cancel it.
Did you guys want to do that?
We could do that.
Okay, let me go grab my planner. It's
That's a good idea.
Okay, I'll be right back. So the only day that would be tough for me would be Monday. I don't get off work until 10 p.m. my time, but I could do it after that if that's what worked.
Monday.
Next
We'll
week,
do Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good any day as long as I know ahead of time. I can schedule it. So
What about you, Sean? Do you?
the only days I work next week are Wednesday and Thursday, but I can still try to meet.
Do you want to try for Tuesday or I mean
Didn't
Fridays?
sound like that worked for Tom. But
Oh, you said Tuesday doesn't work for you, Tom?
It doesn't. I'm going to be in Rockford, Illinois, Lanark, and Des Moines, Iowa. And I don't get into Des Moines usually till 9:30 at night. That's Midwest time.
well, let's shoot for
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Wednesday will work.
I mean, does Monday work? Because we could do. I realize with the time difference, Monday's not that late. That'd be like a little after 7 for you West Coasters. Would Monday work for you, Tom?
Monday works for me. Yep.
And then Sean, you said you're off on Monday.
Yeah, Monday works for me too. I know I don't want if you're gonna have to stay up.
It's fine. I don't work super early the next day, so it's not. I think I can manage.
All right.
And then, Amy, do you have your work schedules for next week? Would that work for you Monday at like 7 or 7:30 p.m.?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. And then Brian, you said that you can with enough notice. Okay. So why don't we say 7:30 work? I get off work right at 7, so that way I can get home.
Yeah, any time on Monday works for me.
Okay. So 7:30 p.m. Arizona time.
Oh, okay.
9:30 will work for you, Tom, and then 10:30 for
Oh,
me.
sure.
Okay,
Yep.
so I'll send out that invite, and then once she opens up Unit 7, and we can see if it's even necessary.
sounds good.
Coolio. All right. Well, I'll send her an email, and then I'll shoot you guys an email as well after I hear back from her about if we need to do anything other than just a summary. Although, since we already submitted our assessments, I don't really know. The summary seems like it'll be kind of redundant, but
Well, we can just say that we went around in a round table discussion of each person, and we said this and this.
Exactly.
So I'm sure.
okay. Cool. All right. Anything else, or we good?
No, I think we're good.
I think we're good. That's
Sweet.
April 23rd, right? Monday, April 23rd?
Monday, April 23rd.
That's 9:30.
9:30 for you. Yes. So I'll send the Zoom invite out tonight once we get off of this call.
Wonderful.
Cool.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Well, enjoy tomorrow, Tom. It'll be a really cool experience.
Thank you. I think it will be very neat.
All right.
I'll take some pictures and download it.
Please do.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Guess
Good
I'll see
night.
you next week.
See y'all later.
Good night.
Right.